sign the contract. And I'll even say this, anybody, that sees this interview, if you're hiring a lawyer and you have a retainer, I can't tell you what lawyer to hire. That's for you to decide. But if you want me to look at your retainer and tell you what red flags are in there, I'll do it. Find me on social media, send me a message. I'll look at it and tell you what the red flags are, because people have to start picking different lawyers and holding lawyers accountable for their bad contracts and their shitty behavior. And it's not just Tom Girardi. There's far more than Tom and just the guys at his firm. There's other law firms doing it too. I mean, look at the billboards around LA. Los Angeles is, as a city, lawyers spend more money here than any other city in the country. Don't even hire these billboard lawyers. They're ridiculous, and they all are going to hate me, and it doesn't matter though. It's the truth.
But it's true. They know the law and they know the language to craft. And the average layperson trusts their lawyer when they're signing an agreement. And there's language in there that all could sound great. And then there's one sentence which might confuse you. And now you're on to other things which sound great. Well, I'd go back to that one sentence that you don't understand, and I would read it again and circle it about why you don't understand it.
Yeah. Most people signing a contract never took contract law. So, and the law is clear that you must have a meeting of the minds too. So it's also on that attorney to some degree to explain things that are not in layman's terms that are in their contract. So the contract should be in everyday, like 5th grade level comprehension. The contract shouldn't be in all legalese, because you couldn't have a meeting of the minds with an average person if the contract is, say, college level comprehension.
Yes. And you think, because you've said this a few times, we're gonna have a trial, 12 days, maybe a little longer, whatever. You think that Tom is 100% going to be found guilty? You think this is truly happening?
Based on the evidence that I know, Tom's 110% guilty. What I will have to wait to see during the trial is what evidence does the jury hear? Because they don't get to know about Danny Barnes, who worked at Lockheed Martin in the 80s, and his dad died of cancer, and he worked there too, and Danny got cancer, and luckily he survived, but he's had cancer twice. And he's had his money stolen from Girardi Keese and has been fighting since the early 90s to try to make this right. They're never going to know about Danny Barnes. I feel like if they did, if I knew the jury was going to know about Danny Barnes and his coworkers at Lockheed, Tom's going to jail, 100%. No, it would just be crazy if it didn't happen, right? But the fact that they're limited to these 4 cases that are more modern, that Tom has a way to try to say he was elderly and his incompetency as an elderly man caused these people not to get their money, or that Kimon did it with the candlestick in the den instead of Colonel Mustard. People, it's got to be unanimous. So it makes you kind of wonder. I do think the Gomez's case is unusual and different from the other cases, and that Tom did all these tricky dicky things for years with them. I don't know how he's going to explain that away. And maybe that's why they were hoping, like, somehow my testimony or me being involved in getting Tom to give them $10 million of their money back in 2019, that somehow they're going to use, me to be a distraction or something. Maybe, I know if I get called to testify, I'm going to testify and, do what I'm asked to do and do it as fairly as I can. But it's no secret that I have a big mouth. Come on. Like, I was a cheerleader in high school and they didn't even let me have a megaphone. Like, it's not new news. Okay. That was the 80s. We're 2024. Me having a big mouth doesn't mean Tom didn't steal from his victims.
Right. One thing has nothing to do with another. I wonder just how they chose these 4 cases. I
think
random.
It was really hard to trace the money, meaning I don't think it's impossible, but I do think it's difficult because of the complexities of how Tom like commingled all types of money in all different kinds of places. We've seen that when we've heard about Erika's LLC and the things that she received, or how she gave her money. Like everything was commingled together. So I think that, logically, part of the reason that why they would pick certain examples is that they could trace the money and show the wire fraud clearly. And then, the Regomez's and one of the other victims who aren't named yet, so I'm not going to give their name out of courtesy to them. They'll be known after the trial, who they are, but their cases are linked. So it makes sense why those two are two of the four. And I also think like one of the other cases, the woman whose husband died in the boating accident, she sued Tom, and there was litigation and there was a lot of evidence. So I think you want to use cases that you really believe you can get a conviction. You don't want to do this for funsies. You don't want to put victims on the stand and make them relive a nightmare yet again, not just in their civil case, but now in this criminal case against their own lawyer, if you can't get a conviction. Someone told me the other day, and I didn't look it up. I wish I did, but they said, the LA, feds have like a 90% success rate in cases like this. And I'm definitely going to look into that. I'd like to know that that's really true. It was a good source, but I want to check it myself. But, that really caught my attention. I mean, 90% is a pretty high rate. So, is it a 90% chance? But then again, you're talking about Tom Girardi. He's a master. He's been manipulating juries his entire adult life, and he's really good at it. And this is his one last shot. And here he is, this narcissist that can't practice law. This is his last hurrah. Don't think he's going down without a fight.
Right. I mean, I've always said, when the feds come knocking, it's over. Like you're already guilty because they don't knock, they'll take an extra 3 years if they need it airtight. I agree with you. I mean, that's why I wasn't sure we'd ever see this day. I mean, he is one of the most brilliant lawyers to ever live, period. Manipulating juries is what he did. So he is going to be there. So I don't know either. Like, I don't know what to expect.
And I don't even I'm not trying to belittle myself, but I don't think they need my testimony to convict him either. I mean, maybe they have a different opinion and they'll call me and want me to do it. And I will definitely do it if they ask me to. But they already have a solid case against Tom, even just looking at Erika's 25 million, going into her LLC. How is Tom going to explain that? So him being, I don't have all my wits about me. So the bookkeeper, stole the money, and that's why the victims didn't get their money. And that's why I left them voicemails lying about the money, making these outrageous reasons that only a sociopath could tell a victim. How is it? I feel like the $25 million, that went into Erika's LLC is so problematic for this case that I'm not sure a lot of other facts really need to sink in or even be told, because the victims were his clients. They didn't get their money. Those are facts. And Erika got 25 million. That seems like a problem. An average jury is just going to be like, they were 100% using this, his business to their benefit. And he's not going to be able to blame enough on Kimon to get out of that.